Alghero. The population is noted for having retained the language of the Catalan conquerors from the end of the Middle Ages, when Sardinia was part of the Crown of Aragon. Hence, Alghero is officially recognized as a minority language. Alghero is the third university center in the island, coming after Cagliari and Sassari. It hosts the headquarters of the Università degli Studi di Sassari's Architecture and Design department. In 2012 it was the 10th most visited city by tourists in Italy. The area of today's Alghero has been settled since prehistoric times. The Ozieri culture was present here in the 4th millennium BC, while the Nuraghe civilization settled in the area around 1500 BC. The Phoenicians arrived by the 8th century BC and the metalworking town of Sant'Embenia in the area of later Alghero, with a mixed Phoenician and Nuragic population, engaged in trade with the Etruscans on the Italian mainland. Due to its strategic position on the Mediterranean Sea, Alghero had been developed into a fortified port town by 1102, built by the Genoese Doria family. The Dorias ruled Alghero for centuries, apart from a brief period under the rule of Pisa between 1283 and 1284. Alghero's population later grew because of the arrival of Catalan colonists. In the early 16th century, Alghero received papal recognition as a bishopric and the status of king's city and developed economically. Historically, the city was founded in the early 12th century between 1102 and 1112, when the noble Doria family of Genoa was allowed to build the first historical nucleus into an empty section of the coast of the parish of Nullero in Judicature of Torres. For 2 centuries it remained in the orbit of the maritime republics. First and foremost the Genoese. Apart from 1283 to 1284 when the Pisans were able to control it for a year. It is plausible that at this time the town shared, given its commercial and multi-ethnic nature, a language similar to the nascent Sassaris. The village was conquered by force by the Crown of Aragon, at the behest of King Pere IV of Aragon, who later actively promoted colonization of the town and the surrounding area, sending numerous families from different counties and provinces of the then Crown of Aragon, including Valencia, Majorca, Catalonia and Aragon. These were granted enticing privileges and, in fact, replaced the original population, some of whom were sent to the Iberian Peninsula and Majorca as slaves. The dialects these families spoke in Alghero were all very similar and derived from the same linguistic family. Over time, it settled on its current form of Catalan. Despite the subsequent decline of the Crown of Aragon, the Aragonese were followed by the Spanish Habsburgs, who ruled until 1702 and continued expanding the town. In 1720, Alghero, along with the rest of Sardinia, was handed over to the Piedmont-based House of Savoy, upon the arrival of which a policy of Italianization was commenced. In 1821, a famine led to a revolt by the population, which was bloodily suppressed. At the end of the same century, Alghero was demilitarized. During the fascist era, part of the surrounding marshes were reclaimed and the suburbs of Fertilia and SM La Palma were founded. During World War II, Alghero was bombed, and its historical center suffered heavy damage. The presence of malaria in the countryside was finally overcome in the 1950s. Since then, Alghero has become a popular tourist resort. Alghero is located on the northwestern coast of Sardinia, along the bay named after the city. In the north of the urban area, there is the Nurra Plain. To the northwest, the karstic systems of Capo Caccia, Punta Giglio and Monte Doglia. The south is built mainly by mountains and the plateaus of Villanova, Monteleone and Bossa. The climate at Alghero is mild due to the presence of the sea, which attenuates the temperatures especially during the summer. Summers are warm like in most parts of the Mediterranean. Winters are also tempered, with the thermometers showing -Celsius temperatures just a few days per year. A variety of Catalan is spoken in Alghero. Introduced when Catalans settled in the town, Catalan was replaced as the official language of the island by Spanish in the 17th century. Then by Italian. The most recent linguistic research showed that 24.1% of the people have Algherese Catalan as a mother tongue, which is habitually spoken by 18.5% and taught to the children by 8% of the population, whereas 88.2% have some understanding of the language. Since 1997, Catalan has had official recognition and national and regional laws grant its right to be used in the city. Currently, there has been a revival of the arts in Algherese Catalan, with singers such as Franca Masu performing original compositions in the language. Following a rural exodus from the surrounding villages towards the city, much of the population speaks or has some proficiency in Sardinian, in addition to Italian and Catalan.